Well, Mark O'Brien made his senior debut for Derby County at just 16 years old. He was a fan favourite at Pride Park and later at Newport County, where his last-minute goal on the final day of the season saved the club from relegation to the National League back in 2017. But O'Brien's story is as much about what happened to him off the pitch as what happened on it. He had heart surgery months after making his Derby debut and was eventually forced to retire at the age of just 27 after needing another surgery on his heart. He's written a book about his career and the events surrounding it. It's called Game of Two Hearts, My Life in Football and Beyond. I'm very pleased to say that OB is with us now. It's good to see you, as always. First off, how are you? How are things?
Yeah, they're not going too bad. As I say, bit busy at the moment, but as I said, I'm enjoying it being busy and still being working in Newport. Like you say, I can't complain.
The book's really interesting, I think, because it takes people, away from what just happened to you on the pitch, and the off the pitch stuff is in many ways just as interesting. Just give us sort of the major moments again in regards to the heart and the surgeries and how it affected your career.
Well, yeah, like as you say, when I was at Derby and I was 16 after making my debut, like you have the world at your feet and you have all these high prospects and everybody really expecting the best from it. And a season later, I'm getting told from a doctor after a routine heart scan that I may never play football ever again. And it was quite difficult to get my head around. But being 16 and being naive, it kind of just allowed me to just get along with it, just go on with it, because all I ever wanted to do was play football. And when the doctor told me there might be a slight chance, but a very, very slim chance that you'll ever play again, I always just held on to that slim chance. And it kind of molded my career. It made me career that bit more resilient, to be honest, because I've had a lot of ups and downs in my career with certain injuries that I would have picked up at Derby along the way and other issues that I've had. But it made me appreciate football so much more. It made me go to that place where the cliche of live every day like it's going to be our last. Like I played my every season like it was going to be my last season, because at the end of every season, I would end up getting a routine heart scan, which would tell me if I was allowed to play the next season. So in hindsight, it kind of helped me career where I made the most of every opportunity that I had. And as I say, I have a career to look back on, which I'm really proud of. But also, as I said, it was quite difficult to come to the age of 27 and realise that the valve was leaking again and having to retire. And through all of that, it was difficult because it was COVID, the season, like nobody knew what was going to happen. I had to come up with retirement, and also I had another open heart surgery to deal with. So there was so many different elements that were kind of happening at that specific time. So, as I say, the book is kind of like an insight into the career of the ups and downs of football, which is great, but also the mental side that everybody on their day-to-day life go through challenges. And I've faced most of them challenges probably from the age of 27 onwards. And again, they were really difficult, but I had so much support from family, from the clubs, from so many people, which, like I say, there's so many names to name. But again, it was something where I know the two different sides of life, where one minute you can feel on top of the world and the next minute you feel as though I'm on death's door. Like I've had a doctor when I was 27 turn around and tell me, Mark, you might only have 24 hours to live. And I know it sounds very extreme to say, but that's just the harsh reality of what was said to me. So to be in the position that I am now, it's the journey along all of that to kind of show people of not giving up on yourself and constantly try and seek that kind of light at the end of the tunnel, because once you don't give up, there are chances that your life will turn around.
This may be overly dramatic from me, but was it a sense that every time you took the decision to play, every time you stepped out on the field, were you thinking, this could be it for me? Today could be it for me, because I don't really know the situation and what's going on in here.
Yeah, look, don't get me wrong. I've had moments of that, but they were moments that I really kept to myself. I never really spoke about them because I just thought, well, it's only a thought. Look, if the doctors tell me I'm fine, I'm going to be fine. So I really took a hold of what everybody else was telling me and used that to kind of propel myself and try and get myself away from those thoughts. But I've had thoughts like that on a pitch, thinking before I walk out. But again, the distraction of football and going out in front of a stadium of people, living your dream, it never really bothered me. I felt like I was more unsafe coming away from football at 27 than I ever did when I was playing, and I was probably at more risk while I was playing than what I'm at now. And that's the psychological battle that I kind of face for myself. So, as you say, I think football distracted me in so many ways and gave me a purpose. And now all of a sudden, the release of the book and just through socials and speaking with people and different things, I want to try and use my experiences to try and help others and try and get other people to see that, look, if at the end of the day, if a fella from Dublin came over at the age of 15, can go through so many different things and still try and fulfill some sort of career and have some sort of success for himself. But then I just look at it and say, well, then anybody can, because that's just the way I always see people in life now, that it's just a matter of not giving up on yourself.
How did you find the process of writing the book and looking back and thinking back over everything in your career?
Do you know what? It was really enjoyable at some parts, because when you have to sit there and go through each fixture, you have to sit there and go through each different thing, it brings back memories of that day, or it brings back memories of that fixture. And as I say, there was so many things that I've forgotten about just by looking at games. And as you say, it just brought back so many lovely memories of, like, Derby being a home from home for me. Like, it was the first place I started my career, and it's the first ever place where it actually feels like home. And like the memories of the games that I've played in, like some of the things like the Nottingham Forest game down to 10 men, like that even in itself is a memory of mine that I'll never ever forget. And there's so many different things that, going through the book, it can be really tedious, because you're going over all the memories of 16 when the doctor came in and he's telling you may not play again. Like, there were so many difficult sides of it as well as the injuries that I picked up along the way. But it made me even that little bit, like, slightly more proud of my career. It made me that little bit more to kind of say, do you know what, I actually have achieved something. Because me being hard on myself, I always look at my career and wanted the best and wanted the most, whether that was to go play Premier League and like everybody's dream is. I just wanted the most out of my career. And because I felt as though it came short at 27, I felt as though there was so many more things to achieve. So at the beginning, I did kind of look at my career and say, oh, well, look, I seen that as a flash in the pan. I could have done so much more. But I look back now and say, with everything that was thrown at me along the way to do the things that I've done, I actually can sit and appreciate and accept and be proud of everything I've done.
3 years on, I think we are now from your retirement. What are you up to? You're still in the game, I think, with Newport in some capacity?
Yeah, no, I still work with Newport as a player care officer and slightly a mentor to the younger lads, where, as I say, it keeps me in the game. Like, Newport were the first team to kind of take me back in after the operation, because I retired here, and I've just slowly found my feet day after day, week after week, and that's literally how it's gone. So it's not been a quick process, and it's not been a overnight success. It's kind of been just chipping away at my confidence to get it back that little bit more, then getting myself back into some sort of fitness. And just, as I say, it's been a journey in itself. And I've done the counselling like I've had, and I still do struggle sometimes with health anxieties. I was so low in depression. I've had panic attacks. Like, there's so many things that I've gone through, but I feel as though I'm more of a mentally stronger person than I've ever been before. And the fact that I can be that person in football now to help people, to help younger lads, to try and put them in the right direction and the right path. And like you say, have somebody in and around the club that actually make the player feel like somebody cares. Because football nowadays, and even when I was part of it, it is a very ruthless sport, and people lose the human aspect of it. Whereas I try and bring that human aspect of it, build a relationship with players, make sure they're okay. And then also, like you say, if they're not doing what's right, tell them what's not right. But when they are, put an arm around them and give them that helping hand that every footballer needs in their career.